I am Cecil Zeringue, and we had a few people who couldn't make the funeral for my dad, and aunts and uncles, and various different reasons for COVID or whatnot. And so I wanted to go ahead and allow them opportunity to hear his eulogy, and I welcome you for listening in. And my dad, Augustin Cecil Zeringue, was born on his day, August 7th, 1936, in Donaldsonville. He would have been 84 years old today, and he lived a full life and lived life to the fullest. He used to tell me that he never expected to live past 30. And he had 9 lives. We used to always joke about that, and a few extra, in his hands, in his cards that he would dealt. Cecil was a well-loved man's man and a fun person to be around, especially as a child. He was very active as a person, as an avid hunter, fisherman, golfer. He played tennis, learned to water ski at 40. Life begins at 40. That was one of his mottos. And like just about anything competitive. He loved numbers, quick math, computations in his head, counting, and playing cards. I'll never forget the times we played Pedro at the camp in Lake Beouf. We'd play all night with maybe 30 minutes of sleep time before wake-up call to go hunting. And we'll just have to sleep fast and sleep quick, he would say, So my dad was very sharp on numbers, but he's also extremely quick-witted and everything else. Even in the last years, as the dementia progressed, his humor and wit would still shine through. You may not have known where he was, but you still couldn't pass the fast one on him. This must have been from being the youngest of 10 boys and a sister chasing them along the rivers, Aunt T. Being the smallest, he didn't have much of a choice but to live fast and move quick. Cecil graduated from Tulane University in 1965 in accounting, and he attended night school throughout his college schooling while he was working at Delta Tools and supporting a family. He worked as an IRS agent and then eventually branched out into his own accounting service practice sometime in the late 70s. He later purchased Valley Supply Company, electrical supplies, and he also owned a Lafayette furniture store briefly for a few years in the late 70s in Houma. Even though he had a big computer room and mainframe computer in his accounting service, he would still keep track of sales and important figures the old school method by hand with tiny little written pencil numbers on a green ledger paper. And he would tape it somewhere on this little secret desk sleeve, probably alongside of some statistical sporting computations. But green was definitely his favorite color, and he wore it well, and he wore it often. Dad supported the green wave vehemently, no matter how many LSU fans would razz him, outnumbered him, or how lopsided the football scores would become. He loved nature and the outdoors. I really didn't notice this until recently, but he had a big fondness for birds of all type. Over the past year, I was able to drive him around town. We needed a break, and he would spot out every bird on a wire from a distance and without glasses at 83 years old. So that was pretty impressive for me. I didn't really know a great deal about his youth or the Zeringue grandparents, being that he was the youngest child and I was the youngest child of him. But I felt like in his later years, it was indicative of who he was to his core as a child. I got to see a different side of him, more simpler, truer spirit, his essence, I would say. He was a good friend, kind, loving, inquisitive, He would sift through Lou's mail, looking at numbers and everything. He was very social, even when we were around the kitchen table. He was like, who's there, looking around. He was tough as nails with it all, and a cowboy at heart, watching his cowboy shows. The German-Swiss name Zeringue actually means tough rings, and a true story, as he would always say. As a father, he was all of that, and he ultimately wanted the best for all of his children and stepchildren. And he embraced them as his children. He encouraged me to just do the best I can, stay positive and follow through. When things didn't pan out, he would just be like, let go, get back up, reassess, and seek the goodness in life. Those are pretty simple words and statements that he would give me, but that's what I carry with the most from my dad. I think it's his attitude I admired, even when things were down or just, didn't work out for him. Dad married my mom, Mary Ann, in 1957. He had 3 children, Carmel, Celeste, and myself. And he later on married Luella Avid in 1991. And they were married until his departure. With 2 stepchildren, Brad and Lisa, we've both become really close. I greatly appreciate how Lou really included my mom in the gatherings and the school events, and really encouraged more of a family atmosphere. And I truly thank her for that. And also her and Brian for all the last part of Dad's life and taking care of him, which was not easy. Dad was active in church for many years and remained religious at heart. He always wore a guardian angel pendant on his shirt as long as he could remember, and medallions hidden in his wallet and around his neck, and that was his way of always having faith. He loved and had close relationships with Father Clement Schneider in Chack Bay and Father Hayes here in Bayou Black. He believed in the power of Jesus, his Savior, and in redemption. That tended to be his favorite type of songs. Why Me Lord, by Chris Christopherson, and Amazing Grace. That ultimately never lost faith. I was truly inspired to see his courage, his humor, and even playfulness and strength in the face of struggle at the end of time of his life. I hope that I can have a fraction of his spirit and humor and faith he carried throughout his journey back home. I am fortunate and honored to be his son, to carry his namesake, and we will miss him dearly. May he rest in peace. And I appreciate the love and support that all of you have shown, and even at a distance. And if you guys could make it, we totally understand. And thank you guys.